do that, and that's not going to happen. So it is comparable to being a radio DJ, but it's also so different from being a radio DJ. Like there is never and then you combine it with the really dark thing of I got a suicide note once. I've never seen that person again. I don't know if they actually did it. Like, genuinely, I don't. Like, it's this weird, like, was it just somebody fucking with me? I don't even know. So, I don't know. It's a weird fucking world. And streaming is a weird fucking world. And I fucking love it. But also, there are parts of it that are unknowingly really fucking deep. And it's not even just the parasocial relationships things. It's like you never know what people are going to do. All right. I should probably get out of the really random dark conversations and explain what we're doing today. So we're diving back into legends from the Dayfort's world. And then I'm gonna... Oops. And then you typed in beer right when I typed in the command for that. I was able to get it in. But anyway, if you click on the Season 2 link in the chat, you'll get a link to this document. Now, this document has the legends as well as the histories from every single fort we've done in this world. I also have a couple adventures that we've done in this world, which link to external documents, which have more stories. If you go up here, you can actually download the most recent save of the world and have more stuff to look into if you want to dig into the world yourself. We messed around with a different faction yesterday, which was these guys, the defensive still sacks. We're going to do a little bit of a legends dive about this group right now because they seem interesting. A bunch of necromancers showed up, but not only did they have necromancers, the Outpost Liaison is a necromancer experiment, which is a scaly humanoid, thin wings of stretched skin. It has charcoal scales that are small and overlapping. This night creature was first created by the dwarven necromancer Tubal, relic vaulted. That's that word. I could read that, but I couldn't. Of Room Crew, after horrible experiments. Room new after horrible experiments on the human Sath Hugscusp. So I want to know about this necromancer. I want to know about this Outpost Liaison. Like, I want to know about those necromancer experiments getting accepted into society. I want to know about all that shit. And I also want to go back to this fortress in adventure mode and kind of poke around this part of town because it's a very dark, spooky part of town. Also, I got a bunch of information on different stories from history and different types of poetry and other things from our tavern, which I would like to poke into and take a look at. So that's kind of what we're doing today. We are doing a bit of a legends dive about all this stuff, and yeah, that's what we're doing right now. So we also had a Cobalt steal one of my battle axes early on, which is kind of funny. But yeah, that's kind of the plan for today. The coolest person you've ever met on the street? I don't know if I understand that question. Oh, that sounds like fun. That sounds like a lot of fun, Pilot Guy. You met Mike B on the street? What? Now that's a story I need to hear if that's true. I can't say I've ever actually just like met somebody and started talking on the street. Oh no, that's at a convention. I don't quite count that as on... Yes, it was outside in front of the convention on a street, but I wouldn't quite count that because that was at a convention. I feel like on the street like the coolest person you've met on the street would be like a random encounter, you know? Like I'm just walking and then I run into you and then, oh, hello, good to see you. Or hello, I'm this person. That's kind of different. You've met Boy George? Actually, I met the singer of a band that I'd seen live that day out behind the venue. That's probably one of them. Again, like I don't really consider that like random. Spoke with him for 1 hour. I ran into Tony Hawk. I guess that probably kind of counts. I met Tony Hawk at a convention. But that's probably the closest thing to just running in. But again, that was also at just on the street. That wasn't really just on the street. That was at a convention. Once we're walking downtown, he nearly fell into a pothole and then got up and stopped. Was stopped by Jim Carrey? Really? You had a random encounter with a Jim Carrey in the wild. Cool. Jim Carrey's an odd one. All right. Let's go to the defensive still sacks first. So civilizations and other entities. The defensive still sacks. The defensive still sacks. The Dwarven civilization of the pretentious domain. So this is going to be a very, very detailed, long history, right? So this is the history of the faction that we're looking at. I ain't going through this whole thing because this will take me like 6 hours. But what I am kind of curious about is what are they doing right now in the last few years? They did like right there in 364, you could see how the godly glimmer of the defensive still sacks at a settlement of Squat Soap regained their senses after an initial period of questionable judgment. That was me retiring my fortress. But if I scroll up a little bit, I'm curious about what they've been doing recently because they seem to be massively at war with like everything, especially with the script books. I'm not too sure who the script books are, but I've definitely seen that name around. Like, look at all of these. Look at all of those fights. Those are all just fights with the script books. So what I need to do is I need to look up some recent members of that faction's government. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go to historical figures, and I'm going to look up that outpost liaison that I mentioned, who is a winged creature that was created by a necromancer, who goes by the name Tubal Imush Hames. Imushmes. There you are. Born in the year 160, male warrior of the night. This is someone that I'm very curious about. Tubal became the outpost liaison of the defensive still sacks in the year 331. Tubal, Dyke creature, was a warrior of the night, born of unknown parentage. He is a scaly humanoid. He has thin wings of stretched skin and charcoal scales that are small and overlapping. This night creature was first created by the dwarven necromancer Ubal Relic Vaulted of Rumnu after horrible experiments on the human Sath Hugscusp in prison cloisters in the year 307. So that's where we're at. That's who we're looking into. In early years, apparently this creature has been the outpost liaison since 331, which is pretty decent amount of time. 30-something years for the outpost liaison. Necromancer experiments are immortal, yeah? They're like goblins. Pretty sure that's true. I don't think I'm just spewing false advertising out of there. But this person seems to really enjoy foot racing, which I think is funny because it flies. When it was in the fortress, it was literally like floating like 15 Z levels above the fort, just like going for runs. Like just floating up there and like existing. But here it's like actually taking part in foot races. It's like, are you actually taking part in the foot races or are you just cheating? Just taking off and fucking flying. It was part of the mechanical celebration of the cities of competing. Besmer and Wurbarn and Tubal Besmer were both competing, where Besmer, Wubarn, and Tubal and Besmer was the victor. So it's like he's not actually that fast. He's taking part in lots of foot races, but losing, which I think is kind of funny. It's like, just take off, you silly. Yeah, I don't think he wins a single race here, which is kind of funny. Like, from, like, the first, I don't know, 7 years or so, he's doing this job. He's just taking part in foot races and doesn't win a single one. Cyril was the winner. Tubal was, oh, there we go. He finally won one in 339. The Parched Boots held a foot race in Searing Furnace as part of the Granite Festival. Competing was Besmer Wubarn, one of his rivals, Cyril Wordcraft, and Tubal. Tubal was the victor. Seems like he finally started winning a few. In 340, definitely didn't win. Shadow of Ova. Honor Dusks won. Honor Dusks seems to be winning a few, but definitely not the strongest thing. Besmer, Wuban, and Tubal became lovers. So this is interesting. After competing in foot races for like 15 years, one of the main competitors was Besmer Weburn. And in 345, they became lovers. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought, Vim. That's what I thought. So that's kind of neat. I'm not going to lie. That's kind of neat. But in 347, they would break up. Hold on, did Wubal win anymore? No, okay. That's kind of funny. 347 goes back to the foot races, takes part in a bunch more of those. And that seems to be the entirety of this creature's life, is just foot races. I'm looking to see if there's any particularly interesting things, but got married to Gorge Raked. They're Gorge Raked. So this creature is married, which is interesting. I think we're going to need to look up Ubal Rumnu, but oh, would you look at that? There's another Warrior of the Night. Well, that's kind of adorable. The Warrior of the Night has another Warrior of the Night, and they've gotten together. And they're married. Lyra Gorge Raked was a Warrior of the Night. She was of unknown parentage. A scaly humanoid with thin wings of stretched skin. Its charcoal scales are small and overlapping. This night creature was first created by the dwarven necromancer Ubal Relic Vaulted. No, but it's interesting that there's obviously enough of them in functioning in society that they're able to get married. I don't believe I've ever seen a necromancer experiment ever get married before. I haven't looked at too many of them. Although, this is interesting. Lyr became the sacred embrace of the cult of affection. I wonder what god they worship. Settled in scaled silvers. Didn't compete in any big events. Probably why hooked up with Dyke creature, her husband. The Aquamarine of Larks, object of ardent worship. So the Aquamarine of Larks is the god of lust, and I'll bet you that became the ropes of wine. The chief medical dwarf of the ropes of wine. That's an interesting group name. But the cult of affection. I want to know what the cult of affection is. It was a dwarven religion of the pretentious domain, centered around the worship of Tumar the Aquamarine of Larks, the goddess of love. There you go, not the goddess of lust, the goddess of love. But it looks like there's a lot of putrid stalkers as part of this group. That's interesting. The cult of affection formed in Bolt Ransacks. I'm not sure where that is. The dwarf putrid stalker, Detan, place dot, became a member. The dwarf putrid stalker, Detan, placement drop, became the sacred embrace. The dwarf Ficod Lantern. Okay, so just a normal dwarf became the sacred embrace in 235. And then in 236, the warrior of the night, Bembul Plank King, became the sacred embrace. A goblin preached to the Amber Creed. Invoking against the cult of affection at Bolted Ransacks. So goblins don't like them. The dwarf Melville. Yeah, Yeah, so like they were not very well liked. The Warrior of the Night Abel became. I wonder why there's so many Warriors of the Night in this particular cult of affection. And demons can create experiments, really? Huh, I don't believe I've ever seen that. It doesn't surprise me though. It's kind of interesting actually. I wonder why there's so many necromancer experiments in this religion. And although at the very end of this, in the year 321, the Warrior of the Night, Logum Tallmountain, the post of Ambers, persecuted the cult of affection in Boltransax. The Warrior of the Night, Abel Tomsdykes, was expelled, and several sacred sites were desecrated. I want to know who Tallmountain is, and why did you go after that religion? Logum Tallmountain was a warrior of the night, born in 114, of unknown parentage. In the early summer of 307, the defense of Still Stacks defeated the Echoes of Honoring and placed Logum in charge of Bolt Ransacks. Oh, interesting. So in 307, Logum became the administrator of the Post of Ambers and took over Bolted Ransacks. And like his 7 years later, Logan persecuted the cult of affection in Bolted Ransacks, and that was where they lived, and booted them out and desecrated their holy places. And then a number of years later, moved and settled in Helmslulls. Who made them? Ubal Relic Vaulted. I need to look up Ubal Relic Vaulted. I'm doing that right now. Ubal Relic Vaulted. Was born in the year 66. Was the only son of Obok Sordians and Kodal Castledrain. Probably spent a long time doing that. What, creating experiments for religions? There's definitely a high level of possibility there, yeah. Ubal settled in Wheels Yearlings. Ubal and Odom became childhood friends, yada yada, found lovers, yada yada. I'm not going to slow down on this too much because I have a feeling that it's just going to be pretty standard for the beginning bit, which it seems to be. It's like found a lover, fought in some fights, cemented friendships, fought in the Battle of Wars. What's a funny name for a battle? The Battle of Wars. Manufacturing monkeys, what up? Good to see you. How you doing? We're looking at the Dayfort's world. And thanks for the channel points, by the way. So if you want to download it, !Dayfort's in the chat. Download the most recent version, the highest number. I think it's number 7. And you can follow along. Or look at it in Legends Viewer if you want. And this person's got a long history. There we go. In the year 235, or 135, Ubal became obsessed with his own mortality and sought to extend his life by any means necessary. Broke up with the lover they had at the time, found a new lover 2 years later, not too long later. The dwarf necromancer Sodel Slinging Lides taught Ubal the secrets of life and death. So in 141, learned the secrets of life and death, and then went and settled in Buckdoors. Buckdoors, that's a good name. I like that one. Ubal began an apprenticeship under the dwarf Sodel Slinglids. Ubal settled in Target Malice and fought in a siege against Snake's Hates. I know where that is. That's a goblin pit. And Ubal became a prophet in Target Malice. Fought in a bunch of sieges. Scavenge Snarling was claimed by Ubal from afar. I feel like I should be documenting this. I'm just going to quickly open up a Google Doc. Quickly going to open up a Google Doc, and I'm going to screenshot the important things. Because I feel like this is worth keeping track of. I have a feeling there's going to be a story here. And I need some more things for Legends anyway. So now I've got this doc. It's not public yet, but I'll work on it. I'll make it public once it's done. So, all right, where was I? Pretty standard childhood. Screenshot that. Cheers, GT. All right. Pretty standard childhood. Where was the point where you... there we go. That's the point where you learn the secrets of life and death. Got that screenshotted. And where you settled in buck doors. I could do a better screenshot job than that. Come on. Began an apprenticeship under the dwarf necromancer Sodal Slinglights. That's a really, really hard word to say. And then became a prophet in the year 145. Fought in a lot of sieges for a number of years. It's like 10 years of sieges. 10 years of sieges. In many locations. Okay, holy shit, snake hates. Look at all that. There's like one for wind, but everything else is snake hates. They were really trying to assault snake hates. They finally start going after other places in the 150s. Glaze Mysteries, Joined Post, Abbey's Power, End Whips, Wrangling. Oh, look at this. Attempted to corrupt in the mid-spring of 160. Udal attempted to corrupt a childhood friend Odom Fountain labored in order to have someone act plots and schemes in clean worked. So look at that. But childhood friend valued the law and refused. And then attempted to corrupt a human Vispal wealth static in order to secure embezzled funds in target malice. Ubal met with the human Vispal wealth static, and while completely misreading the situation, made a threat, and the human Vispal valued the law and refused. Not very effective at doing that. Holy shit! More assaults on snake hates. That's crazy. There. Has anybody looked at snake hates in Legends Viewer? I wonder if snake hates is like just thousands of deaths. Because that's kind of a crazy amount of deaths. Or a crazy amount of assaults anyway. It's still going. It's still going. Ubal attempted to corrupt the human the human Manal, tribe mongers, in order to secure embezzled funds and target malice. Met with the human, and while completely misreading the situation, made a threat. Not very effective at threatening people, I will say that. Definitely not particularly effective at threatening people. An interesting necromancer all the same, though. So, monkeys, how we doing today? How's things? How was your weekend been? Since yesterday, anyway. Now I just want to know what the death count in Snake Hates is. Because holy shit. Ah, there we go. In the year 196, Ubal aroused general suspicion after appearing to not age. And fled, and became the captain of the Echoes of Honoring. That's something else we got to look up, is the echoes of honoring. It's been good? Good to hear, man. You've made it to episode 14 of the Long Death VODs. Congratulations. Are you watching those on 2x speed or just like normal speed? And thank you for slowly trucking through that. I feel like it's a couple times a day now that I'll have people commenting. They're like, I'm on episode this of the Long Death VODs. It's like, oh, good for you. Fucking good luck. There's so much. So the echoes of honoring Tubal became captain of. Also, actually, you know, if anybody wants this, here, I'll make this document public. Anybody with the link can view. If anybody wants to follow along with this document, it's right there in chat. And I'll also stick it into the Dayfort stock. This will be in the Legends tab. Under just the name of the necromancer. So Tubal Relic Vaulted. You haven't had sound this time? Good shit. What were you playing? The goblin Sluthu, Scuffed Veil, began embezzling funds as the High Chief of the Fellowship of the Dusk under the influence of Tubal. Tubal corrupted a soldier of Kol, the soldier of Kol, Sathrel Crosstein, in order to have an agent in Seduce Socks. Seduce sacks, not seduce socks. Seducing a sock is a very different thing. The goblin Sluthu Scuffed Veil met with the soldier of Kol and made flattering remarks. The plan worked. It seems like his plans are finally starting to work after many years of like wars and attempting to convince people to join his side. When you did DF, there wasn't any sound. Yeah, I got you. Serious upgrade from an i7 and a GTX 160. Ooh. Now you can actually run Chrome and not worry about it like me. 64 gigs of RAM. Chrome uses RAM? I mean, I have so much of that. I got RAM to spare. It's fine. This is interesting here, okay? In the early autumn of 207, Tubal attempted to corrupt the goblin Athra in order to have an agent in Seduce Sax. Then, while completely misreading the situation, made flattering remarks, and the goblin Athra valued the law and refused despite feelings of vanity. In 210, the goblin Athra was wrongfully convicted. Okay, so tried to tried to corrupt him in 207, but in 210, the goblin Athra, Image Ward, was wrongly convicted of treason by the Fellowship of Dusk, and the corrupt soldier of Kol, the soldier of Kol, Sathrel Crosstein, through machine nations of Tubal and was sentenced to death. God, that's such a tough line of words to read. Anyway, so this goblin was attempted to be corrupted by this necromancer, and then the next year was 2 years later was sentenced to death after a wrongful conviction. Probably, you know, illegitimate. And then Tubal attempted to corrupt somebody else in 218. The goblin putrid stalker Strodmo Despair Devil, in order to have an agent in Seduce Socks. I'm going to keep calling it Socks. Seduce Socks. And the soldier of Kol, Sathrel Crosstein, completely misreading the situation, made flattering remarks, and the plan failed. And here's the question. Is that Goblin Duke... There you go. In 240, the same Goblin Putrid Stalker was wrongfully convicted of treason by the Fellowship of Dusk and was sentenced to death. He's sentencing to death anybody who doesn't go along with his plans. That's kind of rad. Tubal, relic vaulted, you evil son of a cunt. Attempted to corrupt Goblin Otto, scaled Braves in order to have an agent in Seduce Sax. The soldier of Cole, Cross Divine, met with him. Otto valued the law and refused. And then in 242, attempted to corrupt Temple Stick in order to have an agent in Seduce Sax. The Goblin Thielu met with the Goblin Omad. And completely misreading the situation, the plan failed. I love that, though. Just, like, trying to convince people to join along with his plans, and instead of, like, successfully doing it, they're saying no, and then he's just going back and killing them. That's kind of awesome, actually. Or, like, causing wrongful convictions. It's badass. Started writing some books in 245 and through 246. The Principles of the Tower. More human. More human. Not to be confused with too human. And looks like it's a lot more corrupting going on here. Need to look up room new, because that's where we're at now. We're in room new. More attempted corruptions, refused. More attempted corruptions, refused. More attempted corruptions, refused. More attempted conviction was refused. This necromancer seems to be pretty good at a lot of things. Not very good at corrupting people. 32 gigs of RAM is more than enough. Yeah. Orange, sounds like you need to definitely put that thing out of its misery. That or retire it into just being like a Plex server or something. Errors of the tower. I mean, obviously it's errors of your inability to bribe people. that's what that book should actually be about. It should be called Errors of Bribes or something. Tubal corrupted the apprentice Dwarf Dark Slayer, Adil Neutral Picks, in order to have someone act on plots and schemes in Room New. Tubal met with the Dwarf Dark Slayer, Adil Neutral Rocks, and made a threat. The plan worked. The Dwarf Dark Slayer, Adil Neutral Rocks, plotted to infiltrate the Echoes of Honoring in order to prepare a coup under the influence of Tubal. So something finally worked. Something finally worked. So in 307, this necromancer creates the necromancer creatures that would become completely involved in society for the defense of still Sax, a dwarven civilization. And I'm kind of curious to see if we can figure out how that happened. Or at the very least, who the first one was. Tubal corrupted the apprentice Dwarf. Yep. So there we go. Started rising an army. Look at that. Stored a bunch of books. This is all just rising an army. Tons of putrid stalkers. I love how every single necromancer has like a point where it's just like something flips and it's just a wall of corpses are just walking. It always happens. Every single one. The Dwarf Dark Slayer Adil plotted to infiltrate the Echoes of Honoring in order to prepare a crew under the influence of Tubal. There we go. Something in 267. Something interesting. We've got coups. It's very rare that those seem to actually succeed, but they do happen quite a bit. Has anybody here found anything interesting in Legends recently? And I hope you guys are all enjoying following along with this. It's been a little bit since we've done just kind of a Legends stream, so. Genius might help. Useful scroll. That's a very good scroll to make. Useful scroll. Do you know Room New? I don't know Room New. I'd like to know Room New. Was authored by Tubal and Room New. I like the name of this one that he wrote in the early spring of 289. Useful scroll. Very useful scroll. Can I get a couple debugs in the chat? Or actually, can I just get a round of beers? Because we're kind of chill. This is going to happen during these My eyebrow's itchy and it's annoying. Legend streams. Cheers, guys. There we go. Tubal performed horrible experiments in prison cloisters. We're into 307. We're into 307. Tubal changed the night experiment Trina Shinskies from an elf into a night experiment. Changed the warrior of the night Sath Hugscusp from a human into a warrior of the night. 307. But also made night experiments. The Knight's Experiment. So he made several. Performed horrible experiments. Changed the warrior of the night, Hugscusp, from the human into a warrior of the night. In 307, changed the Knight's Experiment, Tyra Shinskies, from the elf into a Knight's Experiment. So you threw 20 dwarves at 7 goblins and lost 20 dwarves to 7 goblins? Is that what you're saying? That's not a good kill-to-death ratio. It's a very bad kill-to-death ratio. The Dwarf Putrid Stalker. Zoglar Brave Fortress was brought back from the dead by Tubal as a Putrid Stalker. That's such a good name. I love it. More horrible experiments. Making more Warrior of the Nights down here in 307. Jesus, you were busy. Jesus, you were busy. Look at this. Spending all of 307 just rezzing everything and creating night experiments and various stalkers. God damn. See, this is why whole factions just disappear overnight in Legends, because, like, just, a necromancer like this will just go absolutely apeshit one year, and then just everything just goes crazy. Okay, well, there's a break there between 307 and 311. 311. Taught the necromancer Lar the secrets of life and death. Tubal became a master of the human necromancer Lar, ring sculpted. So took on an apprentice in 311. Also, if you would like to follow along, the link to the document that I'm currently working on is in the Dayforth doc. It's right here under Tubal Relic Vaulted. It's right there. So that's the link if you would like to follow along with it. Through 50 doors and 30 came out alive. Okay. There might be have been a cavern tortoise in the mix. A cavern tortoise. I think that you need to work on that KDA a little bit, Dave. What were the dwarves wielding? Do you have any screenshots of the carnage? I love that sort of stuff. If you do, you should stick them in the Dwarf Fortress section of the Discord. Putrid Stalkers. Strange Resurrection. Strange Resurrection. I want to look up Strange Resurrection. So this person is still in Rumnu? All right, time to go through the history and look up the other things that this person created. But I just want to look up Strange Resurrection because I want to know what Strange Resurrection is. There you are. A rope read scroll. Strange Resurrection was a legendary rope read scroll. The written on the item is an essay entitled Strange Resurrection, authored by Tubal Relic Vaulted. It concerns the return of the soldier, Cole, Putrid Stalker, Pestrat, Ford kindled from the dead, as the Putrid Scholar in Wayward Tips, in the mid-autumn of 339. The writing shows a hint of tenderness, and it contains some asides related to the author's preferences. The prose is masterful. I like the name of that a lot. Strange Resurrection is my first EP for my metal band, by the way. But Room New, I think, is what we need to look up next. Sites. It's a tower. There you go. That makes perfect sense. Echoes of Honoring is the group that that Necromancer was in charge of. He liked his creation, and they're not just battle fodder for him? Yeah, no, I mean, if it has a hint of tenderness to it, when this Necromancer is rezzing these zombies, it's like out of love and affection almost. I mean, I kind of wonder what life would be like under this Necromancer, because the creation that we were following, who is the outpost liaison of a dwarven faction that we were playing yesterday, that creature married another one that was also created by this Necromancer, who was the holy person of a religion of love too. So these creatures that he's creating aren't necessarily nightmare creatures. They're very much, I don't know, they're fully integrated into dwarven society. They are members of religion. They are taking part in more than just, a lot of Necromancer creatures are just kind of mindless war creatures, or even just wild animals in some cases. The horrible experiments are kind of described as horrible, yet at the same time they're fully integrated into society and taking part in religion. So that part's kind of interesting. Also, a lot of these dark stalkers, I don't know if you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. You're probably not. I'm not going to read this out loud. I'm just going to zoom in on this, and I want you guys to look at this very closely. I have a few questions. Dwarf Fortress, please. I just... It had to add the "and juice" bit. Dwarf porn is now canon. I mean, I'm just going to remind all of you that I did get some person who was asking for Tarn to please add more 18+ content to Dwarf Fortress in the interview that I did. Yes. Why not? Yes. Anyway, that was a thing that was written by a Dwarf Darkslayer, Urist Faint Cloister. Good job, Urist Faint Cloister, with your creation of that book. Hold on. We'll come back to Room New. Also, that other one's pretty good. This is the Hardness and Juice is a 297-page manual entitled The Virginal Hardness and Juice, authored by Urist Faint Cloister. The work has no particular subject, sure, and the writing is somewhat showy. The prose is amateurish at best. This is just fucking zombie fan fiction right here. Yes, the dwarf Dark Slayer wrote that book. Can you link to Bay 12? You can link to anything in this chat. There is no actual link rules in this chat, so you can link whatever you want. But if you link something bad, you will never link anything in this chat ever again. Basically, like, use common sense and brains. Oh, yeah, no, I know about this. Naughty words restored. Yeah. I don't see that stuff as necessary necessarily, because I think like kind of the random innuendo that DF can produce is way funnier. Stuff like this, like, is way funnier to me than just like, oh, it's got naughty words in it. I don't know. I think this shit's way funnier. It's like when I found Dung's Depths the Naughty Hole, which was a cave, and it had a market in it called Duber, and it was run by kobolds and had like the vast majority of the world's artifacts, because apparently they were a criminal mastermind thieving ring that were just like fucking stealing artifacts from necromancers and shit. That was good. Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I think that is funny. I think it is funny. But I think that I guess it's kind of the reason why I think Apples to Apples is way funnier than Cards Against Humanity. They're the same game, but Apples to Apples is G-rated, and you have to keep it kid-friendly, which is way fucking funnier, in my opinion, than Cards Against Humanity. Because Cards Against Humanity is like, here's all the obscene shit. Laugh at it. And it's like, well, I mean, it's easy, but you just say penis a lot, and people laugh. But, like, Apples to Apples is like, okay, you have to keep it G-rated. How do I make this funny? That shit's so fucking funny to me. So fucking funny. Like, you want to see me cry laughing? Make me play Apples to Apples. You've probably told this one already, but you once genned a civ that worshipped a female dwarven deity of ocean's fertility and called them the god of oceans and fertility, and they worship the bearded clam. That's mwah, it's beautiful. You may have mentioned that before, but I definitely forgot it. Mirthsoft, what's up? It's good to see you. We're doing a little bit of a Legends dive today. If you want to see the doc that I just finished working on, it's that one. Although I'm probably gonna add some stuff from I probably won't add this book to it, but I'm staring at this book because it's too fucking funny. The Dwarven Dark Slayer Jurist Faint Cloister wrote this wondrous book. I was like very much in serious mode, and then I went to Room New, the Necromancer Tower, and just saw this shit and was like, hold on, I have to stop. I need to look at this. This is way too fucking good. I mean, the bearded clam is probably not related to the gender of the deity, regardless of whether or not... I'm quite behind on Krug Smash stuff, actually. I need to binge and catch up, because I've been... I don't know if you follow anything else that I do. I've been working on way too many videos recently. Way too much stuff that's taken up way too much of my time. All right, Room New. So I haven't been watching Krug Smash stuff recently because I've been super fucking busy working on hour-long interviews and stuff. But to anybody who watches my YouTube stuff, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, now that I'm done giggling at the funny name, the Dwarf Dark Sailor, Dagger Ash, settled in Room New. I'm just looking around at Room New. The hilarious name of a book was stored in Room New. Fairbolt, Fact or Fiction. I do remember there was one, I was watching Cupo, and he was stealing books, and every single time he'd steal books, he'd bring back, from this one tower, he'd bring back like a dozen books, basically just called like Human Breeding Exposed, and Mating and the Human, theories and stuff like that. And they were all very funny, and we had a good giggle over it. The dwarf necromancer Ubal, a relic vaulted, corrupt the apprentice dwarf dark sailor at ill neutral rocks in order to have someone act out plots and schemes in Rumnu. Why? Okay, so you founded Rumnu. Why are you having someone act out plots and schemes in your own place? Let's talk about not trusting your coworkers. Anyway, the plans worked. Storage exposed was authored. You don't want your storage to be exposed. That's bad. A student's tower. Seems to be pretty standard tower stuff. I was just wondering if they got invaded a lot or anything. So is this the love tower? I do like the name, the useful scroll, though. That's pretty top notch. Would you trust them? No, but like, I don't know. I don't think Ubal's really very much in control here. I guess I'll say that. The human necromancer Lar Ring Sculpted, which was Ubal's relic vaulted's apprentice. Start Your Day with the Dwarves was authored by the dwarf necromancer Ubal Relic Vaulted. Start your day with the dwarves. How wonderful. Better to have some ears and eyes around. Sure, true, totally. And you never know what your creations are speaking of. Yeah, nothing really worth screenshotting in there. Just that one book. Just that one book. All right, I'm going to find something else to look up, but I'm going to take a 1 minute break. I've been streaming for 3 hours. Just going to take a leak. Drinking a lot of coffee. Back in a moment. Yeah, there was one yesterday. Yeah, there was the soap fort yesterday, which I'm probably going to return to today in adventure mode. So if you missed it, what I want to try and do is they were telling some really interesting poetry there, so I'll probably spin up a goblin in that faction because there's plenty of goblins in that faction, and run down to that area and be a poet and write some stuff in my faction in my fort and see if I can make them do the same dances because I find that shit way too interesting. But there's a few other things I need to look up. If I pop up my fort from yesterday, this was my fort from yesterday, which is right next to a lake in a cluster of very hostile, destroyed dwarven forts. There's somebody who I'd like to look up. Manon Help Bust of the diplomat of the defensive Still Sax. So this is still kind of a defensive Still Sax look over. I've looked up the origins of the outpost liaison. Actually, I have looked up the actual outpost liaison in themselves. Their history wasn't super interesting. It was very much a they married a religious person of an affection cult, and who was also a necromancer experiment. So that necromancer experiment is married and is the outpost liaison of the defensive Still Sax Dwarven civilization. And now I've got a few other people to kind of look up. I want to look up Madam Help Bust, who is also a diplomat, who was appointed during my time in the soap fort yesterday. Has done literally nothing. This is interesting. Look at this. Madam Help Bust was a dwarf, born in 302, and in the years of unknown parentage, and became the diplomat. How the fuck? I was thinking there'd be at least like one or two. I mean, could you just tell me what's in the video so I don't need to open that video or what it is? I don't know what that is. What are you linking? Can you give me a little bit more information than just, to those of you who enjoy The Expanse? It's not super helpful while I'm streaming. Yeah, what a boring dude indeed. Uneventful. All right, well, there's a few other people I'd like to look up. I would like, the first guest we had in the fortress was somebody named Gilly Ektuskio, Human Spearman. So we're going to look up that person. This was a visitor that we had. Hot Blusted. Hot Blushed. That's a funny last name. How do you spell that? E-T. E-T. Ectocyclu. There we go. Dweller join. Yeah, that sounds right. So this was the first visitor that we had in our fortress. Was born in the year Pi. Who doesn't want to be born in the Pi year? But yeah, Taylor, that just linking that with that statement isn't helpful in the slightest. If you could elaborate on what that YouTube channel is a little bit, that would be helpful. Ah, okay, gotcha. Not something I'm particularly interested, but interesting. Not something I'm particularly interested in. I enjoy the show itself. I don't need to know the entirety of the magic behind it. It's funny. It's like I really enjoy television, but I don't need to know all of the minute details of how television comes to exist. Whereas I love video games, but I need to know all of the minute details of how video games come to exist. I guess like I have a lot of space in my brain for the games industry. I don't really have a lot of space in my brain for that kind of TV. But thank you for the elaboration. Maybe other people in chat will find it interesting. So this was the first visitor we had in Squat Soap. Cheers. I mean, I'm much more likely to actually check it out if you post it on the Discord. Maybe an off topic. Not super likely to check it out from Twitch because I'm streaming and can't really look at YouTube videos while streaming, you know. And I'm not really the sort of channel to just restream YouTube videos, but thanks for posting. So this was the first visitor we had in the fort yesterday. They were a spearman, who was born in the year pi, apparently, and began wandering the wilds in the year 340. You missed the investments manufacturing by a couple of minutes. Or rather, you did invest, but you can't invest again. Are you looking for the tickets command to see how much you lost? Because you did lose. Found a lover in the year 342. Fought in several battles. Very much seems to be like a spear for hire. Had a couple lovers and broke up with most of them. Fought in a lot of fights once again. And I'm noticing a name that I'm seeing again. Snake Hates. And I know that I've run into this place before, and I know I've looked at them before. But can I just say that Romance Punch is a great name? Romance Punch! Gotta love some good old romance punches. Is this the Night Milker? But are you the gatekeeper is the real question. Is that the Night Milker? No, so the Night Milker is a funny occurrence because they are a Night Stalker who's also a milker, and they shorten the jobs together, and it just says Night Milker. Is it Snake Hates or Snake Shates? I think it's Snakes Hates is what it is. Snakes Hates. Because there is no secondary capitalization. Or is it the latter? I don't know. I'm going to read it as Snakes Hates. I don't care if it's wrong. Definitely cemented a few friendships amidst the horror of combat. Found more lovers. Very much a live fast and die young human in Gilly. But there was a point in the year 350 where he just started visiting places. I wonder why. Ooh. Mountain Drink was stolen from the Indigo Towers in Heated Kindness by Gilly. Accidentally stole a book. Interesting. I think it's Snakes Hates. I'm pretty sure it's Snakes Hates. What was the name of the Night Milker? I don't think I screenshotted that. I would like to look that person up. But I doubt that I could look them up. Yeah, I definitely didn't screenshot it yesterday. Damn. Should have done that. Squat Soap was my soap fortress, yes. That's how I learned of this person's existence, was they visited. And I was just kind of curious what they did. Not a huge amount, just a lot of fighting. Just a lot of fighting. My outpost liaison was not the Night Milker, no. But my outpost liaison was the same type of necromancer experiment as the Night. No, hold on, I need to look at names. The outpost liaison was a Night Warrior. I need to make sure that I'm right here. Tubal, I'm ashamed. Why am I like blanking on this? I'm not able to do this. But no, I am USHMES. There you go. Was a warrior of the night. not a night warrior. Night warriors are different things. But for some reason, there is another one that was called Warrior of the Night, who was also a milker. So this person is a Warrior of the Night, who is our outpost liaison. There is a Baroness in this same faction that's also a Warrior of the Night, and their other job is they are a milker. And it runs the Warrior of the Night and the job Milker together. So in the Civilization Scream, it states that they are a Warrior of the Night Milker. Yes, I can't remember their actual name or title, though. I just know that they're a Baroness. Did a lot of battle and then settled down as a traveler? Yes, that. Those, thems. That's the things that they did. Is my brain's a little loopy. Maybe I should check my blood sugar in a couple minutes if I stay loopy. Yes. The missing of slashes and leads to endless humor. Nowhere near as funny as the name of that book from earlier, though. Nowhere near as funny as the name of that book from earlier. Just looking at names of people. Insight channels? That's somebody we should look up. Insight channels. There we go. Moral insight channels. Lakatan is our queen of the defensive still sacks. Was born in the year 206, was the second eldest daughter of Iden Jadequakes and Kubak Soak Boats. I think this one may deserve its own thing, so I'm just going to make a new doc real quick. Slight possibility. Slight possibility that may be false. Tubal, I'm ashamed the output. Oh, okay, so I'm ashamed was the Night Milker. Okay, so you are right then. Cool. Battle Bard? Huh. Was a bard, yeah. I'm just trying to, like, get some things together in the background for a new document. I also have defensive still sacks. Was the eldest daughter of Iden and became a bard in Boulder Circled. Became a bard. You gotta love battle bards. I don't know. Bards and poets and battle poets and drummer boys and all that shit are some of the most interesting characters that fantasy world generators like this can generate, in my opinion. Also, this is a long history. Just gotta throw that out there. This is a long fucking history. But yeah, so Tubal Imashams was also a milker. Night Milker. Warrior of the Night Milker. Yes. Needs a slash. Gotta say that. Good question. It's hard for me to tell without, what's it called? It's hard to tell without Legends Viewer. I need to go check my blood sugar. I can't think straight. Hold on a second.
Oh, dude, fuck you, dude. This is fucking sick. Hell yeah. Woo! Cheese for everyone.
Bring out your dead! No!
Streamer's fine. Just needs 1.5 teaspoons of honey.
No!
Hero Quest is the best game ever made, and anyone who says otherwise is wrong.
I like that the sound commands, when you guys run them in a list, are starting to form, like, almost Dwarf Fortress sounding arguments. It's like, this is a conversation in Dwarf Fortress. Dwarf says, cheese for everyone. Another dwarf says, bring out your dead. Dwarf screams, no, 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 no. And then another dwarf is like, Hero Quest is the best game ever made. And anyone who says otherwise is wrong. What's up, Freskins? All right, yeah, no, blood sugar's low. That's why I suddenly can't brain correctly, is because blood sugar's low.
Let's take a lovely fruit, the tomato, remove everything that's good from it, the seeds, the vitamins, the nutrients, everything that's good about it, and just jam it full of shit garbage shit sugar, and put it in a shit bottle that sounds like shit when you put it on your shit. It's shit! Stop eating ketchup!
But I had a teaspoon and a half of honey, so I'm okay. I've played too much adventure mode? I've barely played any adventure mode. What are you talking about? I've just played too much fortress mode.
This is madness.
Madness? Yeet. When does I really don't. We've talked about this before. I really don't want any emotes relating to my disabilities. That would be cool. Like I know some people who have like insulin emotes and shit. I don't want that. I do not want that. I just don't want to stare at that, and I also don't want to sell that. Which is also why I don't have Crypt Blind. Even though I've had some people asking me that. Yeah, it's not something I want. It's the kind of discussion, because mostly I want emotes that are fun and related to things that make me happy, not things that make me go, oh, right, I'm a ticking time bomb and will probably die in my sleep due to low blood sugar, like I have right now. Not, you know, other things. Anyway. Should probably make some food. You should probably make some fucking food. Bring out your dead indeed. Ding. Where the fuck was I? The dwarf moral insight channels, who becomes the queen of the defensive still Sax, was born in 218 and immediately became a battle bard and fought in the very popular battlegrounds of Snake Hates. Now this is interesting. Smoothness. Smoothnesses was authored by Merle in gravel white in order to glorify Umost Umberbronze after praying to Umost Umberbronze. He's writing books to glorify their god. I'm trying to see, where do you become queen though? Because I saw becomes queen in this spot here. I'm just trying to find that. There you go, right there. Became queen in 223. Current population, 7. It's probably like 1 billion deaths. Population died in battle, 4,079. Yeah, that's kind of a lot. It must have, like, withered a little bit. But definitely, 4,579 is kind of a lot. So, Snake Hates, current population is 7. Population died, 441. Deaths, natural deaths in this site, 441. Deaths in battle, 4,579. This is starting to have World of Warcraft vibes. It's almost like World of Warcraft is just the most generic stole from everything fantasy epic. It's almost like that. So it's really hard to not have a fantasy story that doesn't have Warcraft vibes, because Warcraft is just the most bland, we have a bit of everything fantasy world in existence. What a strategic position. It must be like a defensive line for a goblin civ, right? Like there's definitely... I feel like every goblin civ has like one pit that's like on the edge that everybody just invades. Anything eventful happen whilst you were grocery shopping? Stupid. But so for those of you who are a little bit newer to these day forts, before day forts, we had a world called Community World, which was sort of a similar-ish thing, except instead of me retiring the fortress at the end of the weekend streams, I just kind of perpetually played different forts on the weekend streams and just called it Community World. And every single time I retired the fortresses, which was like every 3 or 4 weeks, I would release the world. It didn't work as well, and I also didn't do as good of a job documenting it as I have with this one. We had a fort called Menace Dubbed, which was a very similar thing to Snake Hates, where Menace Dubbed had like thousands and thousands of deaths, but like a population of 5 or something. It was like 5 goblins live there. Thousands of people have died there. But the reason only 5 goblins live there is because every single fight that happened, they would hire a mercenary squad of like 150. So every single time there was a fight there, they would hire a mercenary squad that didn't live there that would show up, help them in the battle, and everybody would die, and then they would hire a different mercenary squad. You have to head to bed. We'll see you later, Spitalier. Thanks for hanging out, man. Oh, everybody knows that story about Blizzard. Or at least I knew that. Yeah, no, like they were just like the whole team really just liked Games Workshop stuff, but didn't really care if they were making their own thing. And yeah, they very much just kind of took piecemeal everything from a lot of stuff. But you know, that's also the way a lot of fantasy shit is. It's like, yo, let's just take from a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, because there is nothing that's truly unique. I mean, even Dwarf Fortress isn't truly unique. It is very generic fantasy. But the thing about Dwarf Fortress is you can get into the micro events of that generic fantasy, which you really can't get out of a written story like Warcraft. Is because they read the same sci-fi books as well. I really hate Blizzard. All right? So I think you need to... Like, I don't just dislike Blizzard. I hate Blizzard. So if you want to have this discussion about, like, the similarities between 40K and StarCraft, you need to realize that I have the coloration of I hate Blizzard. Straight up. Full stop. So if you want to have this discussion, we can. But just realize that's my point of view. So... they straight up cloned a lot of shit out of fucking 40K for StarCraft. And they did the exact same fucking thing with the later Warcraft games. The original Warcraft, not so much. But as Warcraft goes on, it gets more and more and more Warhammer Fantasy. And as StarCraft went on, it got more and more 40K. Initially, you can make the argument, sure. But StarCraft is like almost word for... Like, just look at the fucking ship designs. Like, come on, guys. Come the fuck... Anyway. And both of them are just rip-offs of Starship Troopers. To a degree. Elements, sure. But I don't know. I don't like talking about Blizzard or promoting Blizzard because they're just fucking Activision these days anyway and making garbage like everybody else in this fucking industry. That is a big company. They make garbage. Watered down, boring, cloned garbage. Although the fucking team making the Diablo trailers is very fucking talented. I'll say that. Warcraft 2 is your favorite game of all time? See, here, this is the difference between me and I think a lot of people is I never got into Warcraft. I was an Age of Empires kid growing up. Partially that's to do with my parents. And I look at like Warcraft and shit and I'm just like, oh, you did a really fucking good job cloning everything that Games Workshop's doing. Also, Games Workshop, you're a bunch of assholes. Anyway, you're more of a Diablo gang. See, I never got into Diablo either. Like, at all. I mean, and even Diablo is just like cloning a lot of my favorite works. But this is just a random fucking tangent. That has nothing to do with anything Dwarf Fortress. I mean, Overwatch. They made Team Fortress with a better color palette and more characters. And filled it with loot boxes. Diablo. They made real-time NetHack. StarCraft. They made a Warhammer 40,000 RTS with a little bit of their own flavor. A little bit more Western-y than, like, Empire, you know, and fantasy. They made Warcraft, which is a Warhammer RTS. Warhammer Fantasy RTS with a little bit of their own flavor. It's fucking Blizzard. Woo! You make cool things. Sure. Yes, but they lifted all of the modes. They lifted all of the modes out of TF2 and threw more characters in. That's what they did. But and then they used it to popularize an incredibly shitty business model of, yo, let's gamble for skins. Do you like gambling for skins? Because we can like let you gamble for skins if you really want to. Also, it's called loot boxes. It's not gambling, and it shouldn't be limited to adults. Also, it's cool, and everybody will defend it because we're Blizzard, and everybody's going to want to go to court over it. But actually, EA Games are the bad guys because they've been doing it for a really long time. But, you know, we brought it to a public market. Why am I fucking talking about this? Let's read some legends. Fuck Blizzard. And Activision. Terrible fucking companies. Jesus Christ. Play games that are free and made by people who actually give a shit. Yes, there's lots of good developers working at Blizzard, but, like, fuck those big companies. I hate TF2 as well, by the way. So do you want to get me on that rant? I'm just focused on Overwatch right now. You want me to get onto something that I actually hate? You want me to talk about Valve?
No.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. No. Anyway, in the mid-spring of 2018, Morel fought in the Steamy attack on Snakeheads, after becoming a battle bard a year prior. It was perfect timing. Excellent, which is why we're moving on. Morel began an apprenticeship under Libal Bolt Phrases. This is interesting. It's like, who are your parents? The eldest daughter of Jadequakes and Kubak Soakboats, and just became queen. And you sang Lim. I mean, we know where the problems are and you don't need to be smirky about it. Just smirking makes you look like I am very smart person. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes that
Hero
shit.
Quest is the best game ever made, and anyone who says otherwise is wrong.
I am very smart. Where did you become queen? I saw that you became queen. Hold on, I need to look at the years in my document here. What year was it you became queen? 223. There you are, right there. Became queen. Became a battle bard, fought in a bunch of wars, and became queen in 223. Question is, did you marry into it? What made you become queen? Moral Ignite channels. I lost it. I hit escape too many times. Oh, Insight channels, not Ignite channels. So after becoming queen, what did you do? You married Balmeric Jade Portal. Fought in a bunch more battles. Fought in the onslaught of clashing on the assault of Snakehates. Fought in the attack of spite on the assault on Snakehates. Cemented a bond of friendship with Ineth Landburn. It's really funny. I've like looked up some of these people sometimes that they cement bonds of friendship with, and it's usually they die in the same battle. It's like, oh, Landburn, immediately dead right afterwards. I don't know about that particular person. Landern, Ineth Landern, Landern. It's Landern. It sounds like a name when you read it real fast, but Landern, two different words. More bonds of friendships amidst the horror of combat. Definitely a warrior bard queen. Like, look at all of these assaults. Holy shit. No, it was 223 they became. Yeah, 223. They became queen. And the sieges start in year, like, what, 230? Basically? Yeah. So 223 became queen. I think. Yeah, 223 became queen right there. And then it was 233 that the wars really started. Well, 230 and 231. Like, this is all war. All between 231, 232, into 233. Like, dozens. Snakehates has 7 goblins living at its scoots. 7. Also, Polygolf a lot, and the Rounded Dune is another name that I'm seeing a lot. In this battle, a goblin warlord, Bassa Witchcrisses, was struck. Somehow Moral ascended to queen the same day. I always wonder, like, how that works. It's like, in her first battle, she struck somebody down and just became queen. It's like, huh, how did you do that? I'd love to know. $334. That's all 334. 234. All 234. Holy shit. No wonder they were singing songs. So the reason I'm looking this person up is because they were singing multiple songs about this person and telling many stories about this person in the tavern. I'm not surprised. Fucking warrior bard queen. Look at that. 235. Holy shit. 236, 237, 238, 239. 240, 241, 242, 43, 44. Like, how do you have time for that many battles? 1,648 battles? Definitely, you think. It's like a dozen a year. She's probably queen because everyone else died. She's like the 18th second cousin twice removed of like the actual queen and just like inherited queenship. You're probably not too far off. God, into the year 300s? There's so much. Yeah, she was just kind of like an uninteresting warrior bard. 2 kills. It's almost 100 years of war. Yeah. I mean, we're at 100 years now almost. Because it was 230 that the first war started. We're at 320 now. The crazy attack. Still on like the same places too. So she's been queen for 100 years and still fighting. 326, 327, 328, 329, and that's 100 years of war. Maybe she was just along to sing. She was just the drummer boy, like, just like 330 we're at now. 330. I mean, you don't want the queen to be in super danger. She was just like there sightseeing, like just hanging out at the back of the lines, just overseeing things. It's got to be a hell of a motivator, you know, just having your queen singing while you're like fighting off dozens of goblins. I mean, she wrote some songs earlier. Oh shit, she found a lover. My tub channel jumped. And got married. so like she took a break from the fighting to like, you know, find a lover and get married. We're into like 110 years. After 110 years of wars, she got married. Waiting to just see broke up, got divorced. All the way up to current year? Oh, please tell me it goes all the way up to current year. Yep, all the way up to current year, basically. Although, the battles stop at 350, which is when I stopped World Gen. The world is now 363. 29 kills, 2 notable. 1 Bonnock's Hand, 5 humans, 2 goblins, 5 creatures of Catenrilum, 5 humans, 4 Insudal's Experiments, 2 Catastrophes of Zon, and 5 Burnshield's Eyes. Burnshield's Eyes, eh? I don't know, but I like the miscellaneous kills. Also, Lorbam Right Dagger, the Void Corpse. I think I kind of want to run all the way up to there. It's literally just 150 plus years of war. What a fucking queen. Brings new terms. It brings new meaning to the words slay queen. Fucking holy shit. I want to know who she killed. Right dagger. Born in the year 5, died in the year 240. Male dwarf void corpse. Killing experiments makes her seem much more impressive. She's obviously just singing at them and their heads are exploding. Oh, this is interesting. So Lurbam was born in the year 5, second eldest son of Goden or Bwok. Lived seemingly a pretty normal life. Became a member of the Gleeful Doctrines. Had some childhood friends, settled in a few places, participated in a lot of foot races, had a number of lovers. Looks like this dwarf broke up with Dreamshammer. Dreamshammer, that's a good name. Thob Dreamshammer. This dwarf participated in a bunch of little fights and some battles, a few more competitive sporting events, some more battles, some more sports, some more battles, and some more sports, and then lived a long, full, good life all the way up to the ripe old age of Dwarf old, and passed away of natural causes in 157, fought in the Siege of Cyclones, and died of old age in 158. In the midsummer of 240, Lurbam was brought back from the dead by the dwarf necromancer and his ringed quill as a void corpse in Fairflag. Fought in the clashes of Cremation, fought in the onslaught of Routes in the defense of Fairlang, and was struck down by insight channels in Fairlang. That's kind of badass. So, like, yeah, no, she was more than just a bard, that's for sure, because, like, she's striking down these zombies. So, like, she's doing something. I don't know how good she was at it, but she's doing something. I don't know. That's a cool bit. That's a cool bit. Is there anything else that I need to look up from yesterday? I do like that the Thrifty Jokes is a poetic narrative concerning alcoholic beverages, originating in the Parched Boots. Well, we looked up the queen, we looked up our guest, and we looked up the outpost liaison. I guess kind of the last thing to do now is to go wander around as a gubbin, so I don't need to worry about food. So I think I'm gonna call it on Legends for now. And I'm going to go do my lunch stuff real quick because my blood sugar was low. I don't know how obvious it was, but my blood sugar was low and I need to get some actual food in me. I've had some sugar, which will bring me up, but I need some actual food in me. So I'm going to go do lunch real quick and then we'll do some adventuring in this world. And then either I'll call it or switch games. One of the two. I'm not sure what. Or I'll play something else. But yeah, we're going to go do some adventuring in a little bit, but I'm going to go grab my lunch. So if you're just chilling in the chat, if I could get a round of beers, that'd be fantastic. And I know a bunch of you have sound commands, so if you could use those now, entertain the chat, that'd be very helpful. I will be back in a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere too fast unless you really want to. And hopefully I see you when I get back.
Bunger, 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 bunger,